Hello, and welcome to Riverside Farms. Yes, if you're a regular viewer of mine, this is not my usual Let's Play. This is a sort of bonus setup video, a little bit behind the scenes if you like, on Riverside Farms. So this is where I'm going to be moving my Let's Play to. And I just thought it'd be good to come on, show you a little bit of sort of what goes on behind the scenes in terms of setup. Also, I thought it would be a really good opportunity to have a chat about Farming Simulator 22. So, we do now have a date for when FS22 will be released. We know it's going to be on the 22nd of November. Good old Giants are certainly giving it everything on the going with 22. Now, my plan is potentially to make some visits back to Chellington, but what I'm really hoping for and really looking forward to is getting onto a map with a slightly lower slot count. So if you're not in the know, if you're not a console gamer, or if you don't play Farming Simulator, you won't know what a slot count is. So basically every piece of machinery is assigned a certain number of slots on console. And that's just because of kind of the old console memory limits, and for the old gen, hopefully they will not be in FS22 on the next gen consoles, because they're a lot more powerful. But for example, if I just show you very quickly, so here we have got 642 out of 1299 available slots, and on Chellington it's a much closer run thing. You start with about 800 odd slots, and each piece of equipment takes a certain number of slots, and by the time you've got a farm's worth of equipment, you've got absolutely no slots left to play with, and you've got to be really picky on your vehicles. So that's why, for example, I didn't go for the John Deere and didn't go for a John Deere farm. We went instead for no, that's the cultivator, isn't it? I'm gonna need that. So that's why we went for the New Holland gear, because John Deere stuff is typically really high slot count. I'm really hoping that the limitations of the older consoles don't have an impact on what we can do on the newer consoles. Our most recent announcement from Giants has told us that we've got some new crop types. We've got grapes, olives and sorghum. Now, these aren't necessarily new crops. Black Eyes Modding has certainly included these on his map, and I know he's made them available for other map makers to include as well. I think TNT Modding had grapes on Blue Mountain Valley, and sorghum, I think we've actually got sorghum here on Riverside, so we might get around to doing some of that. Yeah, so I'm a little bit like, well, they're not necessarily new. Like, I think cotton was new to FS19. Sugarcane was new to FS17. Again, I think I don't have much experience of playing the games before then. We do, however, have potentially, from that release, it suggests that the ground needs to be loosened and mulched for the grapes, which to me suggests that there might be a new machine and a new process, and especially for the grapes and the olives, which are in vines, they're in rows. Now, unless you're going to go completely unrealistic and be cutting through the rows, that suggests to me that we're going to have quite a slow process of plodding up and down the rows one by one with something like a 3-metre cultivator, or probably something narrower in actual fact. Which, yeah, it might be a long process. I don't know how it's going to work with workers either, because of the rows and stuff. I know hiring a worker with grapes to harvest your grapes on other maps has been interesting, to say the least. So I'm not going to be playing with seasons on this Let's Play. Seasons can be a very, very long process for getting crops turned around, and because you're playing as if it's through a year. So my thoughts are, I'm not going to use seasons on this map. We will just crack out some crops quickly. So seasons on FS22, Giants have said it's going to be different to how we knew it from the mod by Realismus. So we know we're going to be running actual months of the year, because in their release they were talking about harvesting in September and October. We know we're going to have certain planting windows from when they were talking about the grapes. But most importantly, I think for kind of casual players, or for the purpose of doing an involved Let's Play like this, you will be able to turn seasons on and off. Which, obviously, if you're doing YouTube, it can be great to have seasons on. And I've been really enjoying it with Chellington Valley, and hopefully you have as well. However, the key thing is, for speed of making progress and what have you, actually, seasons isn't always the best thing to have on. Now, one of the things I'm quite interested in their version of seasons is things like, will rain have an effect on planting? Will you be able to plant in the rain, for example? Having watched Clarkson's farm, I know obviously that if it rains and you can't plant, and you plant later on in the planting window, you get lower yield. So is that the sort of thing that they're going to integrate? Are you going to get a lower yield if you don't plant in the right planting window? Are you going to be allowed to plant in the rain? Part of me wonders about whether there could be an adaptation to the precision farming mod, or the precision farming DLC, sorry, isn't it? If they could adapt that so that your nitrogen is kind of used up throughout the year, or perhaps that you have to add other things, so it's not just adding nitrogen all the time. You've got that variety of what you get to add. I don't know. And maybe add in like temperature windows for adding nitrogen, because obviously if it's really hot, you don't want to be spraying stuff on your crops. You want it to be cooler, so, you know, you can only spray beneath 10 degrees or something like that. That would make it a much more interesting concept. So we've potentially found out a bit more about the production chains. So we know already from the original release that there's going to be a flour mill. So that's kind of your grain crops. So we knew about that before the release about sorghum. But obviously sorghum's a grain crop, so that will have an effect as well. You'll be able to take that there. But we now know that there's going to be grape juice and olive oil plants as well, so that you can take them there for the production chains. Part of me is going, well, look, we know we can take flour onto the bakery, and then you can sell the products from the bakery. I'm going to go, it's sensible to assume that there is going to be a similar process for other factories. So, for example, like the sunflower oil on La Coronata, you took that on to the potato chip factory. So the kind of the existing factories mods, there's already the kind of, that you take things on from where they are, multiple processes. Now, if they've already announced that that's going to be the case with the flour, you know, your grain, your flour, then to me, it's sensible to assume there's going to be that carry on with the other products as well, and maybe we'll get some kind of crossovers like the potato chip factory. Yeah, so there's the kind of the used machinery mod on PC that gets you stuff like, for example, this Fendt has 713 hours on it. It's a used machine. So actually it would be quite nice to have that option to buy used machinery at a lower cost. If we look at the sell price for this Fendt, where is it? 48,000. And if you buy it new, large tractors. So a new Fendt, this is the 1050. So let's just bump that up. That's £367,000 of tractor. That if I'd bought this as a used tractor, 48,000. So, and you know, with some hours on it, it still runs. It's a great way of being able to start out and build your equipment up. So I'm really hoping that something like that gets included. If Giants could include something like a hire purchase deal, so you intend to buy the tractor anyway, but you need to make some payments on it first, rather than leasing. Because some of the payments on leasing, it's like, well, that might as well be a hire purchase if you owned it at the end of that lease. I think I worked it out something like, if you do 3 hours a day on the machine, the cost over the 14 days adds up to the cost of the machine. Now, if you could have something like that where you own the machine at the end. Now, one of the things I'd be really interested in seeing in the game is if you could have something like hitching, because at the moment, to hitch and unhitch, I press a button. There we go, hitched, unhitched, hitched. Now, what I'd really love to see, and I know you can fake it, but if you reverse up, you get out, you pull the pin on the 3-point link, then you get back in, and it's hitched up. Now, I know in the game engineering, that is entirely possible, because it's been done on Gold Rush. So I've been playing a bit of Gold Rush since it released on console, and I've really enjoyed that aspect of having to get out to hitch it, because you watch a real farmer and it takes half an hour or more to put something on the 3-point link at the back, and you know, some of them, for example, if it's hedge cutting season, they'll have the hedge cutter mounted on the back of their tractor. Well, that stays on for the whole of the hedge cutting season. and they don't want to have to remove it every time they need to spray the crops or something like that. You know, just, okay, I'm not saying it needs to take half an hour to attach it, but actually if you reverse up and then you have to get out of the vehicle to manually attach the machine. Okay, need to watch out for the traffic on here. So, where was I? Sorry. Yeah, that would be a great addition for me, if you could have it so that you have to get out of the vehicle to hitch up. I'm also wondering if there could be something done with the breakdowns. So again, on Gold Rush, you get quite a lot of breakdowns. And, you know, just kind of little things like when it doesn't even have to be like random breakdowns, just when the tractor gets down into the red zone, like I had with the class on Chellington Valley, you know, could it go into a limp home mode, for example? Could it, you know, stop running the PTO and things like that? Sorry, if you don't know what a PTO is, I will explain in just a second. Let's just run over to the tractor. So the PTO is the power takeoff drive shaft. So that's this bit on the back of the tractor right here, just in there, and it connects up to this yellow shaft, drive shaft on the equipment, and it basically takes the drive from the engine and transfers it to the mechanical running of the machine and allows your implements on the back to run off the engine power of the tractor. Yeah, so if the PTO could stop working, or, you know, the tractor will only run at 3 miles an hour, something like that, and won't run any implements on the back of it, I think that would be a really, really good way of actually making it so that the you know, the repair bar on the side of equipment actually counts for something. Because with the class, we were still running the cedar up and down the fields. Okay, it was a bit slow up the hills, but equipment can be a bit slow up the hills. So, yeah, to me, I was just kind of like, well, what's the point in it? Other than being really annoying. Although, I've got to admit, it did give me the perfect opportunity. I was looking for an opportunity to change the class within the scope of the narrative anyway, and it did kind of give me that opportunity I was looking for. Right, we're going to go with the unreal capacity on this trailer. This is the TLX X52 by 82 Studios. We're going to go with the unreal capacity because of what we're dealing with. When I'm in narrative, I will probably make some sort of joke about the capacity of this thing is unreal. That's what I mean by it. I'm going to take these and hide these somewhere to be discovered in the Let's Play. Really hope you've enjoyed me just doing some chat about FS22. If you're new to the channel, please do have a look at some of my Let's Plays and maybe consider subscribing to the channel. If you're not new here, if you've watched some of my videos before, then thank you. Please keep watching. Riverside Farms will be coming up as a Let's Play in the future, so keep your eyes peeled for it. So all that is left for me to say is thank you very much for watching. Please jump on the like button, subscribe to the channel if you're not already subscribed, Feel free to share the video with your friends. And most importantly, have a great day.